Oh my god! It's the NBA Finals! Oh my god! Ah! Okay, can we just take a minute and just have a moment of silence for the teams that didn't make it? Okay, no more sadness. Time to talk about the NBA Finals because they're over. Basically, I'm just gonna talk about how everything went down. So, first off, the Warriors have won the NBA Finals. Congratulations to Golden State! Took them 40 years to get back to this moment, and no more years to wait. They defeated the Cavaliers in 6 games, which we will get to. But first, I always like to talk about the journey to how they got here. How did they make it here? And why is it so important when we talk about this? Well, I believe it's important because, well, the Warriors are in the West, and everyone always talks about how tough the West is. Strangely enough, now the script is getting flipped, and people are saying, well, the Warriors didn't really win because everyone was injured, and like, oh my god, it's not fair. And I'm just like, don't put asterisks on championships. It doesn't do anybody any favors, like, at all. So, without further ado, let's talk about the journey of the Magical Warriors. The first team they faced was the Pelicans, who barely managed to make the playoffs. They made it by beating the Spurs of all people. So first of all, congratulations to the Pelicans for even making the playoffs against a very tough OKC team that was looking like it was going to barrel its way through. The only reason they made it was because since their record was with the same as OKC, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, basically when they won the season series against OKC, all they had to do was win against the Spurs, and since their season series was higher than OKC, they got into the playoffs. That's how I remember it. If I'm wrong, let me know. So, the Pelicans, Anthony Davis's first playoff game, everybody's excited for him, and the focus is shifting away from, I feel like the focus on the Pelicans has always been Anthony Davis, just because of how Anthony Davis is. So you have a team that only really focused in on Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is the main focus. So the Warriors swept this team, not without the Pelicans putting in fight and desire to win. Maybe potentially upset the Warriors, but it didn't happen. The Warriors swept them, and the final game was very exciting. Steph Curry had one of his very crazy threes, but at this point they're pretty much normal threes, and he has Anthony Davis, 3 other dudes flying at him, and he hits this shot to send it in overtime, and then they win and they sweep the Pelicans successfully. On to the next one. The Warriors then faced Memphis Grizzlies, who did not have Mike Conley at the time, because he got injured in the Portland series that went on 5 games. The problem is that the Grizzlies still went up 2-1. People continue to say, well, these people didn't have the point guards. And, while it's true they didn't, the Memphis Grizzlies went up 2-1 on the Warriors. And the adjustment that was made was that Bogut was put on Allen. Steve Kerr was like, okay, put Bogut on Tony Allen, Andrew Bogut on Tony Allen, and you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And since Tony Allen can't shoot, it destroys the Memphis Grizzlies' grit and grind, because Tony Allen is being covered by a center they don't even have to worry about. As long as he can't shoot and they use their small ball approach, they'll be fine. And it was such the Warriors proceeded to win the rest of the games and go on after Game 6 to Western Conference Finals. Now this is where it gets even more interesting. The Rockets, they kind of just eradicated every bit of pride that the Clippers ever thought they had. They pretty much it was, when you choke that badly, it's not as though they kept winning games back and forth. The Clippers had a very good series lead, 3-1, and somehow they end up losing to the Rockets. Somehow they just cannot win, and they win 3 games and they're like, okay, we're done. And I'm sure every Clippers fan in the world was so mad about that. Even if it's been about a bunch of weeks and I'm super late on this. So then the Rockets have made the Western Conference Finals in a very surprising fashion, considering they're not even 100%, and here they are. So, in their minds, the next step is NBA Finals. They're this close, and they're making Daryl Morey look like the smartest man in the world, and as such, a little tired. As such, Rockets versus Warriors, everybody's got, the narrative. MVP versus potential MVP. This guy should have been MVP, but this guy won it. Everybody's got their clash of ideals. Now we get to see who finally is going to step up. And in the end, it was the Warriors. They won 4-1. And the only game the Rockets won was at home in a blowout. But this is after they are down 3-0. So they almost got swept right out of the finals. But I'm not gonna bash the Rockets because of the fact that first they made it there, and second they competed. Most of those games were close. There was only 2 blowouts, and even such, the Warriors pretty much coasted. It was only in the 4th quarter when they needed to, switch on. When they needed to turn on the switch, they could do it. They're like the Heat when the Heat used to do that, where teams would be up on them, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, they're gonna lose!" And then LeBron and Wade and Bosh are like, "Nah, bruh, it's over." So the Warriors pretty much handle the Rockets. And they didn't handle the fully healthy Rockets. Dwight kept getting injured, and most of their bench players were injured. And they pretty much were running Josh Smith and Corey Brewer out there. It's kind of difficult to run your stretch 4, and Corey Brewer is good. He's a defensive stalwart, and he can run the break. That's awesome, which is good for that team, but it has to be done in spurts because he can't shoot either. And Josh Smith gets randomly hot when he shoots. Josh Smith, I have nothing against him, but he cannot shoot, and he thinks he can. And the stats just continue to prove him wrong, but all I'm saying is, all in all, the Warriors end up making the NBA Finals after defeating the Rockets. This is where the legends are made. NBA Finals. So before we talk about who they faced in the NBA Finals, let's talk about that opponent's own path to the NBA Finals. The Cavaliers managed to make it to the NBA Finals. Okay. Alright, just kidding. The Cavaliers made it to the NBA Finals. Their road was a bit different, They have all their stars at the beginning. Everybody's healthy. Everything's fine. And then, the Celtics, they're scrappy, but they didn't have a chance, unfortunately, against the Cavaliers, who are just top heavy. You can't beat them when they got LeBron and Love and Irving is on and LeBron is on, and then even Love starts getting on. Unfortunately, Love didn't get to see much playoff action after the Boston Celtics series, which they swept the Boston Celtics, because he got his shoulder separated in a tie-up with Kelly Olynyk. So he was out for pretty much the rest of the playoffs. Not only that, but there's free agency stuff that I'm going to talk about in next video. So, you're not without love. You still have LeBron and Irving. You go into the next series against the Bulls. The Bulls go up 2-1. Does it sound familiar? Because it should. They go up 2-1 against the Cavs. And everyone in the world, except Cleveland, is like, could the Bulls make the finals? And then the Cavaliers are like, nah, not happening. Nope. So they come back. And the Bulls was a very hard-fought series, you know, going back and forth. And then next thing you know, Game 6 was just a blowout. I don't know what happened. I didn't watch that series, so I couldn't tell you what happened. I'm just like, what? You just get blown out? That's how you end your season? Now we get to the Eastern Conference Finals. A very battered and bruised Hawks team. But, as we always say, don't put asterisks on things. They made it. They made it to the NBA Finals, so I'm not going to sit here and say anything about the way they did. I'm just going to say how they did. They got one against the Hawks team that was hot. Just beat the very spry Wizards, you know, in 6 games that they almost didn't win, but they did. Once they beat this team, they were in the NBA Finals. That's all they had to do. So they did it. But they did it in such a fashion that was destructive. It was similar to the Clippers' pride getting crushed. The Hawks, while facing injuries, got swept. And there was no question about it. The Cavaliers were better than the Hawks. Unfortunately, the Hawks' depth in team play could not match up against the star power of the Cavaliers. Even when Kyrie Irving got injured, they still had LeBron. And no matter how you feel about the guy, no matter how I feel about the guy, he goes out there and he does work. And he did just that. So, nothing you can say. The next series was the final one. And this is where we get into asterisks. First game that somehow I didn't watch. Kyrie Irving gets injured. This is after he made a crazy block on Steph Curry. And again, Wizards fan here, it was a pretty impressive block. He sent that, he didn't like send it, but he managed to catch up with Steph Curry and block him. And this is what some fans are talking about, like why Kyrie Irving was such a very important thing for them going into a series where they were pretty much exhausted. Kyrie Irving goes down with a very unfortunate injury, and now the Cavs has to start Matthew Dellavedova. And guess what? It actually worked out pretty well for them. They ended up going up 2-1. Matthew Dellavedova's defense was very highlighted throughout this series against Steph Curry. And the Warriors, you know, had finals jitters. And I think to an extent some of the Cavs did, but when you have LeBron on your team, you kind of can't worry about that because you know he's been there and he's done it. So, you know, the Warriors and the Cavs were clashing, and the Cavaliers were actually winning in a series that everyone thought, including me, that the Warriors were just going to be like, okay, Steph Curry, just go out there and do what you've been doing for like your entire career and just make threes. And Clay, do the same thing, and everybody else just Draymond, you know, be triple-double machine, you know, everybody just, you know, do you. And the Cavaliers shouldn't be able, even LeBron shouldn't be able to handle this deep. Guess you shouldn't even underestimate the Cavs. Because the Cavs fought to the point that they had a 2-1 lead. And this is where I started watching, because I'm like, the Cavs gonna actually do it? They're gonna pull it off? That would just the Warriors would look really bad, you know. And so, I guess it's 2-1. Cavs come back to, let's say it was Oakland. They come back to Oakland. No. The Warriors are still in Cleveland at this point. They go against the Warriors, and it's like, oh no, could be the most insane finals right here if the Cavaliers pull it off. And it looked like they were going to. The Warriors just kept fighting, and it was a clash. And that's what I enjoyed about this finals, that it felt like either way, some franchise is going to be significantly changed by this, because both teams came in with so much history of not having a championship. The Warriors do have one in their history. The Cleveland never had one. While Cleveland had a 50-year drought, Warriors had a 40-year drought. You still got a drought there. You can't really. It's not fair to compare, like, tragedy. Well, my sister died. Well, I got hit by a car. No, I died. I'm a ghost now. So don't compare tragedies. This is bad Bojo. So the Cavaliers go against the Warriors in Cleveland, and it's looking like they were going to go up 3-1. And then next thing you know, the Warriors are just like, nah, bruh. And they come back and they win. So now the series is tied 2-2. This is dramatic right here. They're going back to Oakland, a 2-2 lead, and everybody expected this should have been over in Cleveland in 4 games. Cleveland shouldn't even have been here, Well, they should have, because they beat the people. What I meant was they shouldn't have been here at this very 2-2. Should have been like 3-0 or something. So now we get back to Oakland, and it's just because the Warriors' strategy was, we have to guard LeBron, but we cannot. You don't want to do double coverage on LeBron, because if you do double coverage on LeBron, he's going to find the open man. He's a passing superstar. I'm not going to talk about the All-Star. He's a passing superstar, and he finds guys. So how do you stop that? You have to force him to score. So that's what LeBron did. Except they were winning, and it wasn't good. It wasn't looking good for the Warriors until Game 4, where the Warriors managed to beat him again. So they let him score. They had their best defenders on him, from Draymond Green to Andre Iguodala to Sean Livingston at one point, I think. Yeah, Sean Livingston. So their strategy is to beat them, by letting LeBron be the guy, but nobody else, because they had no one else other than Mozgov, and they basically had LeBron and role players. So it was basically why people are putting asterisks on this, is because it's like they want to compare it to LeBron in 2007 against the Spurs. It was him by himself. So these players were way better than what LeBron had before. Just saying. While the Cavaliers continued to face injury after injury, and LeBron was exhausted out of his mind, yet still playing out of his mind, averaging a near triple-double, the Warriors were the ones that got it done. So, Game 5 was when the Warriors were like, no, LeBron, you do you, but now Curry is going to do him. Because throughout the entire series, Curry was very cold. Curry and Thompson were not playing up to snuff, but it's the jitters. So everybody can understand that. It's their first NBA Finals. People may say, but it's like they've been playing in the series. No, you're just playing in the series for the championship. Keyword, they're playing in the series for the championship. So, they finally get here. And, Steph Curry's been cold. This is the game that Steph Curry just heats up. And it was over. Steph Curry heats up. Matthew Dellavedova can't stop him. No one can stop him. He's making threes. LeBron's making threes. Everybody's going crazy. But in the end, Steph Curry made sure that the Warriors walked out of there with a 3-2 series lead. Then you know, move on to game 6. And this is where the Warriors reach the pinnacle. This is where they become champions. They went out there against a team that was desperate for a game 7. You know, it would have been, maybe it would have been more fitting if the Warriors won. And of course, it's always more fitting if the home team wins at the home, but still winning the championship. They get there, and it's an immediate clash. And LeBron is doing everything in his power. Timothy Mozgov is going off. As you know, Ado is trying his best. Everyone on that team was going for a game 7. The entire Cleveland, if they could, they would have like LeBron would have used a spirit bomb. He would have just been like, Cleveland, give me your energy, and would have tried to destroy the Warriors, and they still wouldn't have gone down. The Cleveland Cavaliers gave all that they could, and as a basketball fan, you have to admire that, because they were in this series. They were in this series. It wasn't lopsided like people expected it to be, even with the way that the Cleveland Cavaliers were. And that's why you shouldn't put an asterisk on when the Warriors win. They won the championship, but they won it against a team that wasn't even supposed to be 6 games in, potentially winning a championship. But the team gave it its all. LeBron literally put out some incredible numbers, and you gotta respect him for that. He carried that team as much as he could, and the people, the role players, certain role players did better jobs, and they worked harder. And that entire team scrapped and clawed. LeBron literally was trying to wrench that championship over to Cleveland with almost no one helping him. He almost did it, but that should tell you how strong the Warriors are. Even when the entire star is trying to take down their entire team, they still manage to get it done. Because he is LeBron James after all. It's not like this is Greg Monroe carrying the Pistons to the finals. Now that would have been insane. But the Warriors did it. They made it to the NBA Finals. And they won. And so, my thoughts, you just heard them. I think the Warriors deserve respect for winning a championship. Because sometimes the journey doesn't matter. It's how you finish. But I'm not trying to be all deep and psychological here. I'm trying to be all philosophical. I'm just saying, the Warriors won a championship. Nothing you can do about that. They're forever etched in history. If you really want to look at asterisks, you go ahead and find asterisks for every single champion. It's not just them. But they do deserve respect because they won the championship. I'm not going to get into the talk about Finals MVPs because my personal opinion on it, real quick, is just whoever wins deserves the Finals MVP. Why would you give the Finals MVP to a loser? They don't want that. They want the championship. Okay. That's literally all I think about that. So, no, I don't think LeBron should be Finals MVP for making it 6 games. It's fine. Okay. So, that's my thoughts on the NBA Finals. I'm going to be releasing some more videos soon. Ash Double out! I hope you enjoyed the NBA season. Now it's over. What are we going to do? What am I